Hello and welcome back to the Oklahoma Venture Forum podcast. My name is Kyle Golding. I'm your host. I'm here today with guest Katy Boren, the president and CEO of the OKC Innovation District. Good to see you this morning.
Nice to be here.
So right off the bat, for those who didn't get to attend your presentation at OVF this month, explain what an innovation district is in general and then what OKC Innovation District is.
I'd love to. Oklahoma City's Innovation District is unique, as are all innovation districts. There are a kind of a finite number of them across the country, a relatively new phenomenon. Every one of them is very different, depending on the size of their city, the industries that they have there, what kind of cluster development they have. So they all look very different. Some of them are more focused on kind of real estate development kind of plays. Others are within a university. We are a 501c3, so we are not just an arm of the chamber or a university in Oklahoma.
So you're independent.
We are independent. And so each of them is very different. We were identified by the Brookings Institution as ripe for an innovation district in the first part of 2017, and they wrote a report on the aspects of Oklahoma City and the landscape here that kind of really helped them select us as one of their prime locations for an innovation district. So that's really how we got our start.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's a district, it's a geographical location. So what are the boundaries and who are some of the businesses and institutions that are currently within those boundaries?
So part of an innovation district, one of the things they all do have in common is some kind of sense of place. So in Oklahoma City, that place, that epicenter, is just northeast of downtown on the eastern part of I-235 in what used to be kind of considered a medical district, right, so to speak. OU has a long history there, so there's a large presence with OU. There's the research park that's there. There is OU Health overall, which contains lots of other major assets, right. Stevenson Cancer Center and Dean McGee, Harold Hamm. It's an academic medical center. Right. OU Health Science Center is there, OMRF, right. OBI. So it really is a life sciences biotech cluster. So we have quite a few really impressive assets, lots of experts, a lot of research and development coming out of that space. We had to kind of identify an area, and in doing so, it's really 4th to 13th, and Lottie to the east, and over 235 to Robinson on the west. And that was really an attempt to address some of the connectivity issues, the challenges back across 235 to be more connected.
And you have big plans for making them even more connected, right?
We do. We calculated those into our future plans, yes.
And there's been some new construction and some new people who have come to that district or even to the state to be a part of this, right?
Yes. We quickly proposed some projects for MAPS 4 and were accepted and were voted in by the public. We are grateful for that. And we are excited for the things that it will, like other MAPS projects, that it will spark as a result of that public investment. And by design, public investment is one of the goals is to attract private investment.
Sure.
And that did in this case. Quickly, there was a very large commitment by some private developers to develop a 400,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. Wow. Right in the heart of the Innovation District that will also be right next to Innovation Hall, which is the public project.
And we have lots of future projects happening we'll talk about in a minute, but I'm trying to get everyone to make sure they definitely understand where this is, what's happening. Mm-hmm. Now, the value of an innovation district, the impact it's going to have on the business ecosphere. You mentioned medical or research, all of the things that are going to come out of it. What kind of things are we seeing now and are we expecting in the future from the participants within the district?
Well, one of the things that attracts talent and industry and investment to a city, especially in what is the global economy going forward, and that is the knowledge economy and the STEM economy, is an ecosystem around that culture. And Oklahoma City had some amazing assets, amazing talent, all kind of working in silos. And one of the things an innovation district does is help create that ecosystem, pulls these disparate industries together. The technologies cross-cut those sectors,
right,
and we are kind of the convener around those topics and those technologies. And what that does is really creates an atmosphere in Oklahoma City where industry thrives, jobs are created, collaboration occurs. And there's really a sense, if you are someone who's a research scientist, or you are a student, or you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to establish your business, found your business, or even expand your company to Oklahoma City. If there is that ecosystem here and that, really activated, heavily programmed atmosphere where people interact and collaborate, that's very attractive.
And it almost butts right up to the front door of the Capitol building, right? Where
It does.
where our leaders can see how much impact that comes from good business ideas and innovation.
Yes. Innovation does that, and that is the finding, is that when you put someone working on augmented reality from life sciences context, healthcare context, with someone working on it in the energy context, they're still working on an augmented reality project, and they have a lot to share. And you put them together, and they might get a patent together. We have an example of that exact situation occurring, and so. It's really that having a densely, populated, highly activated, interactive location and culture, it really produces a lot of opportunities and a lot of innovation.
Which is part of the bigger conversation that we've been having for quite a while, but absolutely for the last 20, 30 years in Oklahoma, right? About diversification of our economy and creating new opportunities, but capitalizing on the human capital that we have here, right? The smart people, the hardworking people, the innovation that they were putting into oil and gas and some of our traditional areas of expertise that now we can expand into all kinds of things. Like you were saying, biomedical, aerospace, some things like that are more cutting edge, more future looking aspects as well.
Yeah, so for Oklahoma City to be competitive nationally and globally, we had to really capitalize on those assets that we had here, and diversify our economy, exactly as you said. So energy transition, yes, but also aerospace and defense, national security, unmanned systems, life sciences and biotech. And we do have those clusters. And so really it's a matter of accentuating what we have and broadcasting it to the world. So a lot of the time we spend as an organization is really storytelling and marketing what we have here in Oklahoma City to the national audience. So it really, and we've really made some impressive strides. We won Outstanding Innovation District for 2021.
Right.
We were in front of over 1 million people last year with stories out of the Innovation District. In the first quarter of 2022, we've already achieved that. So it really makes a difference when people understand what's going on in Oklahoma City. And just physically in the epicenter of the Innovation District, we have 120 postdocs. We have 78% of all of the NIH funding that comes to the state comes to that area. Mm-hmm. So really, that's the front row. That's the front seat. If you're an investor, an entrepreneur, industry, that's where you want to be. So, and aerospace is also coming on board. It's been really interesting.
But you also are doing a fantastic job of connecting not just the people in the district, but like we said, the downtown area that is nearby, the state capitol is nearby. You host a lot of events. You do a lot of things that is focused on the people involved. Coming into the district, being a part of the district, simple things like just getting together for food trucks or coffee or something fun like that, right?
Yeah, so one of the reasons we were selected was there was no atmosphere around the kind of things you're talking about. No one could come plug in. No one knew where to go to connect. And so one of the ways we address that is through heavy programming. So we put on networking events day and night on a monthly basis. But we also put on substantive programming too. So we have one coming up tomorrow, for example, a half-day conference on innovations in radar technology and imaging. We had an all-day conference on autonomous systems. We have a regular series on how to get funded, a bunch of entrepreneurship programming, tech talks. And so we really try to appeal to that entire culture. And it crosses sectors. So you'll be sitting next to an aerospace engineer or a coder. I mean, like it really is.
Or a weatherman.
Or a weatherman, right. Yes. So really, and there's a real hunger for that connection across industries, and that's kind of our sweet spot.
Oklahoma Venture Forum, our monthly meetings are within the district and the research park. So
yes.
we feel that same collaborative spirit with you as well. So let's talk about the future. You have huge plans for the future. You mentioned that some things were going to be coming through from MAPS funding, but there's some private as well. So lay out all of the big changes that are about to happen that everyone in the city is going to be able to see because of the construction and other things you have planned.
Yes. So Innovation Hall, which was one of the MAPS 4 projects, breaks ground in about a month. I wish it would take a week to build, but it's going to go into 2024. But it will be about 25 to 30,000 square foot building that will really be the kind of the public house of innovation. So it'll be modeled a little bit after District Hall in Boston. There are other locations across the country. Some of them are true co-working spaces. Maybe CIC is there. There are different models, but ours is more of a District Hall out of Boston, that model. So it will be a place that is highly programmed by our organization, but also by partner organizations from Northeast Oklahoma City and from the entrepreneurship community and from the different sectors that really activate the place around these subjects that people want to talk about and interact around. And then also a lot of space that you can pay to use. Different size rooms. You can have different size events. Your board meeting, training, a conference, a pitch night. They can all take place there. So it will really activate that part of the city that right now is kind of an 8 to 5 type place, and people go into their labs or offices, and there's not a lot of amenities. That will all change. So you'll see it'll be more walkable. That's part of our investment as well. So it'll be a lot more people friendly, and so it'll be a really highly activated place.
And one aspect of walkability is the connection back to downtown Oklahoma City across the bridge. It runs right across a huge interstate.
Yes, that is a piece of it. Is connecting back across 235. Is very close, but it is a challenge, physically a challenge. So addressing it across the 10th Street Bridge, maybe Harrison. It also connectivity though is also viewed in the lens of across the district back towards the community in Northeast Oklahoma City as well. So it's kind of throughout the district so people can use it in a more friendly way. Right now it's very difficult to use that whole area on foot or on a bicycle. We hope that changes. We also want to make sure the community in Northeast Oklahoma City is very connected to all of the activity and opportunity and job creation in the district.
Because there's also a renovation of a park and a cultural center as well.
There is. The other projects that we put forward for the Innovation District in MAPS 4, one of them is the renovation of Booker T. Washington Park, and one is the renovation of the Henrietta B. Foster Center at 4th and Lincoln. That's a very historic place in Northeast Oklahoma City. It was an African-American YMCA built in 1951, and we have proposed repurposing it to be a minority small business and entrepreneurship center.
It makes perfect sense.
It does.
But building on history, but moving forward to the future.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about you, about yourself. What is in your background or your persona that made you say, this is what's necessary and I'm going to be the person who makes it happen?
Well, I grew up in Oklahoma, went away for undergraduate work, came back for law school, took a clerkship away, but did immediately come back after that clerkship ended. And so I practiced law and was a litigator. I also worked for Cox Communications out of Atlanta for 13 or 14 years. And in that position, it was a very unique position that allowed me to do more types of things than a traditional attorney usually does, right? And so I really enjoyed all of those other aspects from, working across all lines of business, helping the company with strategy, external affairs. It really was I had a convener role in that job as well. So I'm very close to the business. So launching new products, and working with the marketing department and the finance and accounting department, who typically don't, they speak different languages.
Yes, they don't get along every time.
So I was really a convener within the business as well. So I really liked all of those aspects much more than, I enjoyed being an attorney, but problems came to you and all of those things I just described were in the past.
Right.
I wanted to be a part of those. So I eventually started my own law firm, and that was going very well, to the point where I was going to have to make a decision about going into a firm. I had, so much work that I could not do it alone.
Right.
And really that was, a trade-off of needing that extra, back office work and all of the different expertise of attorneys. And I just was at that decision point, and ended up going this route and applying for this position when they were doing a national search.
That makes a lot of sense. We're super excited that you presented for Oklahoma Venture Forum. It was an excellent presentation. For those of you who missed it, you missed out on a great presentation. Thank you so much for sharing some more information here on the podcast. And we're very much looking forward to seeing how all this construction happens in the district, the growth that's going to happen, all the attraction, the local businesses, the attraction of other things, the investments, the collaboration, the community that you're building right there in our own OKC Innovation District. Thank you so much, Katy.
Thank you for having me.